Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Pee-wee's here. Glad you could join us. All right, so it's 1 minute past start time, so I'm going to start. Right, so the first little session, just this first little 15-minute session we're going to be doing now is a preparation warm-up for the main session. So we'll just do 15 minutes of general warming up of our bodies. It's not only to warm up, though, keep in mind, it's the warm-ups that I do are to prepare you for what's to come later in your Taiji training. So, strengthening your legs, strengthening your knees, things like that, getting your body doing things that are strengthening, that are a little bit simpler and easier to understand than what you'll have to be doing later on in your Taiji form, which is a little more complex. So we'll get straight into that. And then at 7 o'clock, we will start into our small sensao and bag work training. All right, we're recording the session. Got the mics on, all good to go. All right, so nothing too strenuous to begin with. Let's just start moving our bodies a little bit, just so that we don't strain a muscle whilst we're practicing the small sensao and, of course, when we're hitting the bag for today's session. But like I said, it's not just about warming up, it's about strengthening our bodies and making sure that we're gradually progressing to be able to do the things we need to do in our Taiji and Bagua forms. Although this class is just Taiji, of course. Okay, so let's just bend our knees a little bit, bend the body forward, and then reach up to the sky. And drop it down. Breathing out. Drop the knees down again, just to where it's comfortable for you. Lifting up, standing up onto the balls of your feet. Balancing at the top, in breath, and out breath, sinking back down. Same again. One more time. Let's take a side lunge, like so. Sorry, it's not a side lunge, I'm facing sideways. It's a front lunge. Okay, like so. And we're simply going to press the rear foot down into the ground. It's basically like you're holding a bow stance, for those of you familiar with your Taiji form. Like so. We're going to do the same movement we just did, opening your body up, but leaning backwards this time. So you're looking up to your hands, like so, as you breathe in. What you're going to do here is you're going to drop your hands down, place them on your knee, lean onto your knee to support your joints, and then drop your rear knee onto the floor, and then sit back. This is the easiest way to do this particular movement. Once we do it in the Taiji form, it's going to be a lot more complex. Bring your weight forward, stand up, and repeat. Open everything up, stretching, stretching, stretching. Fold your hands, sink down, place the hands on the knee, drop the knee down, sit back and relax. Coming back up. Let's try that on the reverse side. So exactly the same thing, stretching through that rear leg. Make sure when you're on that rear leg, when it's pushing down, you're stretching through here. So you're not, for example, sticking your bum out, then you don't get a stretch, you see? Or if you bend your knee, you don't get a stretch. So push your heel down, tuck your pelvis under, push your weight forward, now you should be getting a really nice hip flexor stretch in that movement. Okay, so same again. And placing your hands here to put some of your weight directly down into the ground through your knee, through here, you see? So it makes it a lot easier on your joints if you're coming from a position where, you know, you're not used to this kind of stuff. So there's different levels for everything. Repeat. Some people are going to find that movement really, really easy. Other people are going to find it really, really difficult. So, if you found that really difficult, either take a break, anytime you need to, take a break. But if you want to do it again, do it again. But those of you who found it easy, then do the next level. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 different levels for tonight that we'll work on. Okay, so same thing to start. The only difference is, as you take your hands down, you're going to place them straight down onto the floor. It's a little bit more difficult, okay? And then sit back onto your heel. So you're sitting right back onto your heel. There's not really much weight now in that front foot. Coming forward, hands on the ground, lift the knee off the ground, and again, control it to stand up. Same again. In breath, sinking forward, breathing out, drop the knee, sit back, and just relax. Come up exactly the same, like so. Switch sides, let's do that again. So again, try the more difficult version or do that previous version with hands on the knee. Whichever one feels like it's the right one for you. You basically want to push yourself a little bit to strengthen your body, but not so much that you feel like you're going to damage a knee or strain a muscle or something like that. So you've got to push yourself, but gradually, especially if you're not used to this kind of movement. Okay, open it up. Sinking it down onto the floor, drop the knee, sitting back, coming forward, lifting the knee, standing up, and repeating. Okay, back to the first side. I'll just give you a couple of seconds break, let your legs recharge. That movement in your Taiji form, this comes much later in the Taiji form, mind you, it's not even in the first third, it's in the second third. It looks like this. See, so it's much more complex. The knee is twisting behind the other leg, I'm sitting down straight onto the rear foot, I'm keeping my body upright. It's a much more difficult squat than what we're doing here. So if you're struggling with these ones, you can see that the progression to there will help you to be able to achieve that when you get to it. Okay? Right, let's do the third variation. Exactly the same movement again. The only difference this time is you're going to not place your hands anywhere. Just keep them off, keep them in the air. Again, only if you feel ready to do that particular movement. So we open it up. Take it down. You're still going to lean forward, okay? Keeping straight is the most difficult variation, so you're still going to lean forward, sit down, and sit back. Lean forward again, lift up your knee, and open it up. Same again, little lean forward, drop your knee on the floor, sit back, come up, lift the knee, and finish. One more on the other side. We'll just do it twice through. In breath, out breath, not placing the hands on the ground, sitting back, up, same again, sit back, straightening the body up when you're sitting back, as you can see, and okay, so that ought to get your legs a little bit more mobile. Let's now make sure that we've got a little bit of strength coming into our core and our shoulders. Now again, these classes, this is the first class of this new set of classes that I'm doing. So I'll be doing a little bit more talking in this class just to explain how things will be working and so on. As we get training through, there'll be less need for that. This first 15 minutes, the warm-up, obviously, if you're already really, really fit, strong, mobile, then it's probably not so necessary. If, for example, you're running late one day and you can only make it at 7 o'clock and not make the warm-up. Of course, it's always nice to just move your body and do a warm-up before class, just treating it as a warm-up. But it depends on where your level of fitness is as to how necessary that warm-up is. Right, let's get our shoulders a little bit moving. Our shoulders are very, very important because when we strike things, of course, we're using a lot of shoulder pressure. Now, of course, it's the whole body that's going to be doing the striking. The body, the legs and the waist power the movement, but the shoulder connects the movement. If you don't have strong shoulders, you can't connect the power of your body to project out through your hand. So you can do lots of partner exercises, of course, push hands and sparring and all that sort of stuff to train your shoulders. And of course, hitting stuff trains your shoulders very nicely as well. But it's also good to do a little bit of calisthenics training. So that's what we're going to do now. Just very, very simple. I've got the bag there now, so I'm going to have to do it a bit on an angle for you. Just slide your hands down onto your knees until they get onto the floor. Okay? And just walk your hands forward until you're into a plank position. Okay? Now, if you find that too difficult, then as you walk forward into your plank position, just let your knees go onto the ground. So you're simply going to walk your hands forward, but as soon as your knees are there, see, I'm just letting my knees go onto the floor. I'm still walking my hands forward, so I'm still getting some nice pressure over my shoulders. I'm still getting a core engagement. It's a very gentle one, but maybe that's the level that you're at. So in which case, that's still very good movement. And then if you can, push yourself right back into a squat. A lot of people can't do that, so just come back to where it's comfortable. Obviously, if you do have the strength, then keep the knees off the ground into that nice forward planking position. Make sure when you're in that planking position, you've got your pelvis tucked under, okay? You're not lifting your bum up in the air like this, making it easier for yourself. You've got your bum so that it's kind of in line with the rest of your body. You're not sagging at the lower back, you're tucking the pelvis, you've got your legs straight, like so. And basically the whole body just in a nice straight line. Again, walking it back. There's a little bit of time when the weight's on the one arm, and walking it forward again. Getting that nice control side to side in your movement. Let's try something a little different from here, from that planking position. If you need to, you can drop one knee onto the ground, but if you're fine here, just open up your body onto the side. So you're stabilizing your body with one arm on that side. Obviously, as I said, you can put this knee down, you see? That knee on the ground, it should be manageable for everyone, and those who are a little bit stronger might be able to do the full side plank. Drop it down, lift it up to the other side, and again, drop that knee down if you need to. Let's do that one more time on the other side. From here. But this time you're going to drop your hip, just relax it down, lift it back up, take it back to the other side, and again, drop it down, lift it up, back to plank, and then just one last thing to finish, pull your feet in. You might only be able to squat, let me just get back in frame there, on your toes, like that. If you can squat fully on your heels, then great, drop into a full squat. But if you can't, just go from here, on your toes, and then gradually walk your hands behind you, you see? That way when your heels go on the ground, you won't fall backwards. And then go into a reverse plank position. So from here, you can either keep walking backwards, or if there's a wall there, just move your feet forwards. You might just be here, this is fine. You're still engaging the muscles, but if you can lift it up so that again you're in that nice reverse plank position, that's where we want to be. But again, if you're just down here, that's fine. You're still engaging the muscles, you're still getting your shoulders working from the back. Just whatever you can manage. And then pull your feet in, into your squat. Now, if you can't squat fully, just keep your hands here, like so. If you can manage a full balance squat, then you can remove your hands. If you're in this position here, just keep pushing forward and then stand up while still using your hands, you see, to balance you, to stop you from tipping backwards. Just use your hands like that as you stand back up into position. Okay, that's it for the warm-up, the preparations, strength and mobility preparations for this evening. So we're now going to go into our small sansao and bag work class. Okay, so we'll start off with a little bit of the small sansao tonight. The small sansao is the Yang style's short fighting form. So it's quite simple. It's designed for beginners when they first start their training to learn about the more explosive side of training, as opposed to what you might be commonly familiar with, the slow-moving Taiji form. Okay. This is what most people think of when they think about Taiji. Okay? So it's the most common way of practicing Taiji. Even though the form itself isn't all slow moving, there are some explosive movements, some leaps, some kicks, some things like that. But overall, especially when you're first learning it, it is a slow form. It's classed as a slow form. The small sansao, when you first start learning it, you will do it a little slower than how you might do it later on. But it is categorized as a fast form, a martial form. Now keep in mind, it is still a form, okay? Don't be going around saying, look at these self-defense techniques I learnt. The small sansao is a training tool to teach us how to move our body, connect to our center, create explosive movement. There's a very big difference between practicing a fighting application and practicing a training tool, okay? And it's very important to understand that before we start training in the small sansao. Some of the aspects of it, you could think, oh, well, no, I could use that, you know, we could do this, we could do that, I could use that in a fight. Yes, some aspects you could use in a fight. But what I mean by this is the way the form is connected. You do one movement, then it flows into the next, and it flows into the next. Probably in a real fight, you would never do those three movements in consecutive order like that. There are also other elements where, for example, the feet involve this funny little swiveling sort of movement, like so. Now this footwork is far too slow for real combat, okay? But it is a fantastic way, as soon as you start practicing that, and that's the first thing we're going to practice this evening, in fact, is this little footwork routine. You straight away feel this connection straight into your lower dantian, your center, the center of your entire body, just physical center, internal center, everything we want there. So by practicing this little method, it forces us to move from the center. That's why we do this funny little stepping action. Even if, you know, in a real fight you might move your feet like that, rather than like this. So this is what I mean about some aspects of the movement are a training tool to force your body to learn certain things. It's kind of like when you see a boxer doing the speed bag. You know, the little ball that goes like this, little speed ball. You'll see boxers all the time using it. But they don't hit it all the time like you would strike in a boxing match. Boxing match, you know, you're going to go bang, 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 this kind of stuff, right? Punches, proper good solid punches. But they go like this. It's like they're usually hitting it with the hammer fist, which they never use that in a real fight or in a boxing match. So what I mean is, that's a training tool for timing. It's a training tool. They're going dum 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 bang. Then they might hit it once with a proper punch in between those dum dum dums. But you can see there that that is a training tool, not a fighting application. This is where a lot of people get things confused, especially in the traditional martial arts, whether it be Taiji or karate or whatever it is. the difference between a training method and a fighting technique. So let's get into this little footwork routine now and really get it right. Okay, so we're just going to stand like so, with our feet shoulder width and parallel apart. And all you're going to do to start with is turn from your center and just shift like so. So 45 degrees facing the corner. Keep in mind whilst we're doing this, ultimately we should be keeping the head facing where the center is facing. I shouldn't be doing this. Sometimes I instinctively do it because you're there, that's where I'm talking to you. So you can understand I'm naturally going to go, oh hello, and I'm going to talk to you and explain things. And I'm also looking at my screen, making sure that I'm not accidentally moving forward and going out of frame or something like that. So yeah, be aware of that. You're going to be doing a similar thing as well because you're watching your screen, you're watching me do it. So you're kind of going, oh hang on, what's he doing there? You know, your head's not going to be in the right spot. But keep in mind, when you practice on your own, when you do your homework, this kind of thing, it should be your head turns with your body. And of course, when we do a proper flow through the form, I will perform it correctly for you to see how it's happening. But when I'm talking to you like this, I'll naturally look at the camera. So let's just keep that going for a moment. You can see I'm swiveling on the heels, okay? The toes are moving, the heels are staying where they are. They're moving together, like so. So we're not getting any of this or this. They're moving together because I'm simply connecting everything into my center line and shifting. It's my center which is turning. What? The feet just come with me. So you can see that? Whatever kind of strike I want to put in there, I can utilize this method. Even if in reality you wouldn't probably do this whole swiveling action. You're probably just going to do something like that, something like that, something like that, you see? But it's this swiveling action that trains in this moving of the center, connecting the whole body to the center. The arms are just nice and relaxed for now. Just let them flick around and smack into your own body. You're shifting your weight into the back leg each time for this exercise. You're about 90% into the back leg. So there is still some weight. See, if I pick that foot up, I will move forward. There is a little bit of weight in the front foot. Now, a lot of the things you're going to be learning in this class will transfer over into your slow form as well. So, of course, the ideal situation is you should be doing both of these classes because these two forms complement each other. They're meant to be learnt together. You're not supposed to learn this form on its own. When you're moving through that posture, I want you to think about just slightly softening the knees, just a little bit of bend. So I'm not like sinking down like this or something, but I'm just sinking the knee down a little bit. So obviously the standing leg is going to be quite bent while the empty leg is a little straighter. But see how I'm keeping my body nice and upright, and I'm keeping my lower back nice and flat, okay? What I don't want to do is this kind of action. You see, with my bum stuck out. I want to keep my pelvis tucked under, so I'm engaging here. This is indicating that I'm engaging these muscles, the center, so that when I turn, when I throw whichever type of punch I want to throw, this is all engaged. If your bum is sticking out like this, it means you're kind of just pushing from the legs and the shoulders. You see, you're not engaging this muscle. So pull that under. Now everything's connected. Everything's going to be channeled into the whole body. So a little tuck under, particularly as you move. There I can relax a little bit, you see, as soon as I think about moving, I'll feel this little squeeze sensation, and then a relax, and then a relax. Try to make sure you're moving straight across and you're not going up, for example. You're just moving straight across into the movement. Really try to feel your balance, planted through your heels. If you go, ooh, you see I'm on the toes or something, you know you're losing your balance. So focus your weight down through the heels of the feet. See how it's nice and smooth? It's not something like this. It's not a jerky action. It's nice and progressive. It's a smooth, flowing action. Smooth movement creates speed. Okay? If you can do something fluently, it means you'll be able to do it fast. If it's feeling jerky and unbalanced, you'll never be able to speed that up to a fighting pace. Okay, try stepping forward now with this leg, the one that your weight is on. So just shift your weight a little, step forward, and then bring your weight forward, like so. Keep your shoulder width. You see I've still got shoulder width underneath my feet, like so. And then what you're going to do is, we want to swivel back. So I want to go like so, see? Then I shift, step, come forward, and again, swivel back. So that's now the next area. Rather than just swiveling back and forth, we're now stepping, and then we've got to move the whole leg. But you can still see this is just a slightly more difficult version of the same thing with a little step in between. Because now I've got to move my legs a little while still maintaining this nice level of that. See, that there is the same as from here. It's just that I've got to pull this leg all the way back. You'll feel an even greater sense of center activation with that leg, having to move that leg. Once you get it right, of course, in the beginning you might find, because it's a bit more complicated, you might find you're doing something like this. The most important thing here with the footwork is that both your feet move at the same time for several different reasons. What you'll most commonly see, and I see this all around the world when people do the small sensao, you'll often see their hand techniques are looking really, really sharp, like really nice, well-connected hand movements, fast and good connectivity. But there's a separation down here, so they're not getting the maximum potential they can out of those strikes. Because what's happening is they're doing a swivel, but they're doing it like this. See that rear leg? This one here? It got stuck, it got left behind. I tried to turn my center, but the leg got left behind, and it's like someone's holding me back, you see. I need that leg to come with me so that everything's going there, everything's going to where I want the power to be going. Same thing when I come into this forward stance. If I now step back, no, see, the foot got stuck. Or if I go 1, 2, that's a separation. Yes, the foot traveled over afterwards, but it's a separation there, and then I had to do it, which means my whole body's intent was not moving as a unit. It wasn't all as one. That's what we're learning from small sensao, is how to make the whole body move as one. Step, shift. Step, shift. Do whatever you want with your hands for now. Just kind of hold them there in front of your body. You see? Now obviously, at that moment, when you're swiveling, all the weight's in that leg, that's the only heel, just that rear heel is touching the ground. This front foot is kind of off the ground, you see, but it's only a fraction off the ground. In fact, it can even just slide, you see. You don't even have to lift it off the ground. It's not something like this, you're not lifting your leg up in the air. It's just slipping it back, you see. Stepping forward, slipping it back. You'll notice that when I come into that position, I'm not like this. I'm not 100% back. I'm only about 80% back in that position. Now, throughout the form, the weight distribution, whether it's fully back or 80-20 or 90-10, things like this, that will vary depending on the technique. But for now, what we're thinking is when we do this one, we're at 90%-ish. You don't have to measure it out and be exactly 90% or 80%, but just, you know, kind of mostly on the back foot. You feel like that front foot's pretty empty at this stage. Whereas when I come back off a front stance, when I come from here, you see, I can feel just a bit more pressure in that front leg. That's what I want, because for that particular technique we're going to be using, it's more important to have about 20% of our weight in that leg. Then, of course, you shift more weight in order to take that step. Later on, there are ways of stepping with a drop step, but we're not going to worry about that for now, for our foundation levels. So 1, step, 2. Step, 3. If you're finding at any point that this happens, See what happened there? I pivoted on the ball of the foot rather than the heel. If you're finding that that happens, that's indicating that your balance is already on the toes, okay? So if you've taken that step forward, maybe you lost your balance a little bit. What happens when you lose your balance? In terms of forwardly losing your balance, your weight goes onto the toes. Then you just go, I've got to move backwards, but because your weight's already on the ball of that foot, probably you're going to pivot naturally on the ball of that foot. What that's going to do is, it's going to send your body, see my body's going this way, it's sending your body in the wrong direction for the application. Swiveling on the ball of the foot versus the heel, it's not a better or worse, it's a what's suitable for the application at hand. And the small san sao is focusing on the heel swiveling because all the applications in it focus on that particular movement. So there are other times where you'll see it in the slow form or in other fighting forms where you will pivot on the ball of the foot. So as I said, the small san sao is very simple. It's teaching us about grounding, connecting to the center. So the footwork throughout the form is almost the same each time. The only real variation on the footwork is sometimes we pull the foot in and then step out. So we might step here or we might step here, doing a little switch step, moving your body to the side. But it's kind of the same principle. It's still, the same sort of motion with the body. Now you might think, oh gee, it's such a simple thing. If it's the same footwork throughout the form, that's going to be really easy to get right. Well, it must not be that easy because it's always the footwork that I'm constantly correcting people on. And that's because people don't place attention to it. They think all up here. They think about the hands. Oh, what am I doing with my hands? I want to punch, I want to punch. I want to hit things with my hands, you see. So they forget about the base. Your foundations must be built from the ground up. The same applies in your slow form. What we'll be doing on Wednesday night. I'd much rather see someone, for example, doing something like this, not having a clue what they're doing with their hands, but their legs are stable and grounded, rather than knowing exactly, doing the hands right, everything's correct in the arms, but the legs are all over the place like this. Now, of course, the ultimate thing is that we have all of it connected. We have the arms are moving correctly along with the legs. That's the ultimate goal, but I'd rather the legs be correct than the hands, is what I'm saying. So that's why we start off the small san sao with getting our legs right. And it's why we must do the movement relatively slowly. I said before it's a fast form. Yes, it's fast, relatively speaking, compared to the slow form. But it's still not, or at least elements of it are not quite like full fighting pace. Okay? Having said that, you could say that some things in real fights do happen a little slower. You're not always moving at your maximum capacity when you're fighting. Some things you do move a little slower. But the point being, if you're doing this footwork, to keep it controlled and done correctly, that's about as fast as I can go. Anything quicker, and I start having to move the feet, not swiveling, strike, swiveling, strike. So by people trying to speed up and do the technique faster than that particular technique is designed to be done, it makes everything go wrong, okay? So only do the movement as fast as you can whilst maintaining the correct principles of that particular footwork. Twist, boom. Notice how when I swivel back, you'll see this foot move. As I said, it's not coming off the ground, but it's empty at least. At the same time, that rear ball of the foot is going to be empty. So I lift that off the ground, or just kind of barely touching sort of thing. And then, see how they get there at the same time. The ball of the left foot and the whole foot of the right foot sit down at the same time into one another, like so, into the floor. Indicating again that the whole body is moving as a unit, and later on we're going to pair that in with the hands. That's the key point. At the end of this month, I'm going to give you all the option to send me a little video clip of yourself doing the first few movements of this form. And maybe some of the bag work. Same thing on Wednesday for the slow form. Please impress me. Get your footwork right. I want to see those videos, and even if your hands are like not knowing what they're doing, I want to see that footwork being done, composed, controlled. Don't speed it up. Speeding up will not impress your teacher. Okay? When you're pulling that foot back, it's generally speaking pulling back to there, to the same line it was on, you see? Meaning I'm not pulling that foot back behind the other foot, because then it's going to turn my center too far this way. If I'm here, I only want to be turning towards that corner, you see? Put the foot there, and then it kind of feels like I'm too far past the point. Okay? So if you put your heels on a line, that foot, you see, they're coming back onto this. Got hiccups now. Onto that same line, like so. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. So that's the fundamental footwork. This is stuff we're going to be working through this footwork throughout this course, whilst adding in the hand movements of this form. Okay? So we'll go back to the first footwork now and add in the first posture with the hands. Okay? So forget about the stepping forward for now. We're just pivoting, 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 poverty, poop. No, that's bippity boppity, isn't it? Okay, what you're going to do is take your center line from one corner, throw it over to the opposite corner. Okay, like so. So it's a 90-degree turn each time. Again, try to keep your body nice and upright in this position. Don't be sort of, leaning over or any of this kind of stuff. Just try to stay as upright as you can whilst we do it. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is, I want you to take this arm, try and do this like a mirror image. So if you face that way with your right leg forward, so that I'm like a mirror to you. That'll be the easiest way to follow along with the movement. Then later on I'll turn around and face the other way, so there's no confusion as to what's happening. What you're going to do with the arm is bring it up like so, let it be relaxed. See how it's relaxed? As it lifts up, so the hand comes onto my center line. You see, it's here, it's on my center. I bring it onto my center, and then I'm going to turn my center, so this is where the turn comes in, and strike backwards with that hand. Okay? Notice the hand is now flexed into a yang shape. This is what we call a yin-shaped hand. For anyone who doesn't know, this is what we call a yang-shaped hand. Okay? Both can be used as a strike, both can be used as a blocking action, they can be used for all sorts of different things. It's just a way of distinguishing the shape. So your hands are relaxed, you lift it up, 1. And then completely relax your arm, let it slap you in the leg. You're not slapping your leg, you're just letting gravity do its work, okay? Same thing to the other side, just wave your arm to the corner. Drop the hand. Wave your arm to the corner. Notice how the arm doesn't come straight from here. See how that only moved upwards? I don't want my hand to move upwards like this. I want the hand to move upwards, but it should move up over here to the corner I'm already facing at. So I lift the arm up there. If I break it, it should really be like one flowing action. But if I kind of break it down, it's like 1, 2, and then the body turns, right? Not that much. It looks like this. But you can see that the arm up just starts lifting up a little bit, just before the twist comes into play. You see? 1, 2. Don't worry yet about what the application of this is. Just get the body connection. Your hand at the end of the posture should be in line so that the fingertip here is in line with your center, so in line with your nose here, like so. fingertip in line with the nose is where we want to be. So the palm is up at head height. It's not dropped down here somewhere, it's right up here. Okay. It's nice and yang, it's flexing. The thumb is pointing down, not vertically down like that, but it is kind of down, maybe about a 45-degree angle like so. The most important thing here is, if I turn side on and show you my left hand, is that the strike, see the direction of the strike? It's going backwards. It is not pushing out to the front, it's not lifting up to the front, it is striking that way. It obviously stops here, but that is the direction of force going through the arm. Okay, so we go like so. Like so. Just give a nice little out breath each time you do the strike. So if I stand here, for example, that strike would be going like that. See? Like that. Now, classically in the small sound sound, that particularly the actual application of the small sound sound, that's actually a defensive movement, striking to an arm, but of course you could use the same motion of the body to strike to someone's neck as well. So. See, now we've got three things moving from the center, the feet and one arm. So when the center turns, the arm, you see, with the center. That's the key point here, is get the arm traveling with the center. It's no good if we're doing something like this, or the arm moving and the center following. We need to get the center moving and the hand moving together with the body. Now can you see, because the arm has a much bigger distance to travel, and because there's kind of like a sort of a whipping action through the arm, you will notice the hand gets to its destination just a fraction after the feet. Because if this were a defensive action, of course, I don't want my feet to be in motion when I take an impact on that arm. I want to be going, wow, boom, boom. You see, I want my feet on the ground before my hand hits his incoming punch. So this will be the case throughout the form. Whenever we do these swivels, as a general rule, there might be an exception to that. There's always an exception to every rule. I'll let you know as we get along to that with the other postures. But the fundamental here is that I need to go, see that? You can feel your feet just da-da. So in your mind's eye, when you feel that strike, impact in your mind's eye. Obviously, when you practice it with a partner, you'll know when you're hitting something. But for now, you just visualize, okay, when is my hand, there, when am I hitting something with my hand? And it should be on that corner, of course, when you hit something. The feet should have hit the ground like that, like a flan, just before, da-da, you see? Da-da. Now your other hand, it's got to do something completely different. It's got to push forwards. So what you're going to do is we're going to do just the other hand all by itself now. Now, something else I wanted to mention, as I said, this is the first class, so just giving you a little bit of an introduction here as to what the classes are going to be like as well. These classes are aimed at complete stark beginners who have never learned anything, so we're starting from scratch. But also, for all those people out there who have been training for a long time, but you're still making foundational errors in your form, whether it be this form or Wednesday night's slow form. And most people are. Apart from a lot of, some of our really senior instructors, most people need constant re-looking at those foundations. I do it myself. And I've been training this as a professional level for 25 years now. I'll quite often, I'll sort of get into a free flurry of more advanced things, but then I come back and I'm like, yeah, let's just go back to our absolute, let's check. Make sure my basics, my foundations haven't been lost somewhere along the way in my training. And because so many people around the world, they might practice a lot with me, or maybe they practice with my father or another good teacher, but then at some point, maybe they don't train with anyone for a year or two. They're training all by themselves. And when you're training only by yourself, you can get into errors. Even if you're at the top of your game, if you don't have someone else showing you something, someone else to remind you of certain important aspects. So that's why I'm marketing this class to start beginners, but also everyone else. Because even the instructors around the world who teach this form should be refining and making sure they're not making these errors of going 1, 2. Simple, basic errors like that should not be happening. In which case, everyone really should be practicing this along with this class. Anyway, back to the form. So we're going to do the same swiveling. 1, 1. Nothing different, because this is going to be all part of the same move at the end of the day. You're going to lift your hand up like this as you start to turn. See? Okay, it's literally just like that. Just like a robot dance. Okay? Just bend your elbow. From that bent elbow position, I want you to thrust your fingers. So that's it's hard to stop this because it's one motion, but basically that movement's going to be roughly halfway through the circle. It's just the tuck, the preparation, you see. It's tucking the arm in so that it can extend out, because my arm's straight, okay? I mean, not straight, but it's relaxed. If your arm's relaxed, you can't throw a punch like that. Can't throw any sort of a strike like that with your arms staying straight. What? In order to throw a strike, you've got to bend it first, don't you? Bang, then you can throw your punch, okay? So that's what you do, guys. You don't want to go ready and then throw the punch. You want to throw the punch from where you are. It's like when we use the pung hinge guard. So your hand's down here, you see? The arm's a little more extended like that. That's how you throw. You don't throw like this. You go boom! There's your strike, you see? You fold it up, but it's still within one motion. You're not going, you see, you're not doing two different motions. You're still going from here, you see? Rolling it up and throwing it out from that position. And we use that pung hinge guard as opposed to the both hands up sort of a guard. So that's exactly what we're doing here. I'll just do it side on for a moment. You're going to, tuck it, and then, just drive your fingers forward like that. This is not the complete posture. I'm showing it like this first to stop certain errors from happening from trying to do the full technique all at once. So don't worry about that for now. Palm down, spiraling over like so. See, it just lifts up and twists like so. And just striking through with the fingers. Don't worry about, but how would I strike with the fingers? Is it bent? Is it straight? Because this is not actually the strike. The strike later on is going to be with a different part of the hand. I'm just showing it like this to get the body mechanics correctly first. Okay? So tuck it in, drive it forward. Notice how that arm is more or less in line with my shoulder. So it's not over here somewhere with the other arm. It is pumping forward in line with my body here, in line with my shoulder. Just like before, drop it, tuck it, spiral, drop. And just like before, you can see how the target gets there, boom, boom. See, the hand gets there just after the feet hit the ground. Do-doom, do-doom, you see? It's not much, don't be going like that. That's too much separation. Then you've totally disconnected. When you separate things too much, you disconnect from the base, from the grounding into the striking component. So looking at it, almost looks like it's the same time. You can just see, just on the end, you see? digging up and driving through. Now see if you can put those two hands together. One hand is sweeping backwards, like so. The other hand is tucking and pumping. You see? Sweeping, tucking, pumping. This is also a fantastic movement, not just as a martial application. I'll explain the martial application about this next week. I mean, basically, you're blocking something and you're hitting something just for now, but I'll explain the details of it next week. We're just getting these basic body mechanics happening today. But it's also a fantastic health application for your brain. It's a good technique to give to, really old people that are getting problems with dementia and that kind of thing as well. So everything in Taiji is always crossing over that combat to healing aspects of training. So although this can become a very nice fighting technique at a later stage, for now we're just getting good health from our bodies whilst we're learning the movements. So getting that coordination to get one arm to be doing a sweeping, a centrifugal type of action like this, and one arm doing a pumping action like this, it's really, really good for your brain, for your coordination. So really be careful that you're not doing this, you see? See, now I'm doing two sweeping actions. Or, if I start focusing on my front hand, okay, yep, that seems good now, I've got it. That front hand's doing the right thing. No, hang on, wait. Look, my left hand's doing the same thing as well. It's doing more of a pumping action with the arm. The rear hand, the defensive arm, should be, if you look at the elbow, there's a little bit of bend and flow in the elbow, but there's none of this. You don't bend the arm. The striking arm physically bends in, right in like that. Probably, maybe even a little bit more than 90 degrees, or less than 90 degrees, depending on how you're looking at it. But yeah, a little bit more than a right angle, a little bit more bent in. So it tucks, see, just a bit more and then extends. So there's a very obvious bend and extension. Whereas the blocking arm, it's just sitting there naturally. It's relaxed, you see. It's got that natural bend in it like so. And then, see, that's as much as I'm going to bend it. It's got a little bit of this, a little bit of flow through the elbow, but at no point am I bending. I'm not actively bending the elbow. It's just there, you see, and then it cuts back. And again, you'll understand more about that when we start looking at the application and how to gain power through that movement. So really think, sweep with one hand and drive, pump with the other hand. Okay, if you're starting to feel like you're getting that motion of pumping forward, just take that hand and instead of poking with the fingers, what we should actually be doing is from this position, that's the technique. It's a strike with the palm here, the knife edge, there, okay? So it still comes up exactly the same, but instead of turning it over into a finger strike, you kick it over into a palm strike. The reason I start with finger strikes nowadays, or sometimes I'll use a punch because it works in the same way, is because most people, when they see this, a chopping knife edge strike, for some reason, I think it's because of James Bond, people start going like this, you see? Chopping, 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 like this type of action. But that's not what we're doing. It's not what we're doing at all. We're standing from there like that, we're going, boom! That's the action of the body, okay? That's the strike. It's a punch, boom! It's just like you're throwing a punch, only you're putting a different weapon on the end. And this particular shape of the hand fits better to the target point you're aiming at, and it's a little less likely that you'll hurt your own hand when doing the strike. See how it kicks over? But keep in mind, you see, the force is still traveling forwards. We do not want this. See, the force is now sweeping in from the side. And we certainly don't want something like that, chopping in from the other side. You must tuck that hand in and drive it. See, it's got a spiral. Not that much, of course, but it is downwardly spiraling like that. Finishes like that, so that the thumb's roughly 45 degrees aiming down. So the two hands are more or less in the same shape. You see? It's just that one is pulling backwards, so you'd be hitting with sort of, sorry, the lighting's rubbish when I come close up because I've got all the spotlight on me here. So I'm hitting with the back side of this ulnar bone here, the pisiform little knobbly bit, or the ulnar here. That's bang, because it's striking backwards, you see. Whereas the forward strike, because it's going in the opposite direction, like so, you're striking with, from the pisiform, instead of to the pisiform to the rear, you're going pisiform to the front and across here. So that's your striking area. I'll have Fran come in next week and show you the applications so you can understand what you're striking to and things like that. Let's just have a couple more go through that, and then we'll finish off with a little bit of hitting the bag for today. So, and relax. Relax the shoulders. Dropping the hands, of course, has no martial application. It's just ensuring that you're not building up tension whilst you are practicing this first movement of the form. Getting relaxation through the body is obviously one of the most important elements, no matter what martial art you are practicing. Now, are your feet still doing the right thing? Now that you've got all this stuff with your hands, thinking about your hands movements, are your feet still doing the right thing? Or have you started thinking about this, and then your feet are going like this underneath? So if ever you feel your feet are not doing the right thing, slow it back down. Those two hands should be hitting more or less at the same time. Technically, the blocking hand does hit a little bit like that before the striking hand, but in the beginning, as long as you're just getting them more or less at the same time, that's what we should be aiming at. So, in other words, if you do this, really wrong, because it's one turn of the waist, of the whole center rather, for two hand movements, you see. If I go, what? And I haven't done the other strike, well then of course when I do this one, there's no turn, so there's no power behind that. And vice versa, if I go one and I haven't done that one, well, where's the power coming from for that movement? So both hands, you see, have to move together. They can be like that. You see, the rear hand hits first, but barely noticeable in the change. The separation in those hands. Okay, so that's what we'll be going on to in the next couple of weeks. So I hope that's given you a relatively good little introduction to what the small sensao is. After we do the bag work, if anyone's got any questions about those moves or the small sensao in general, I mean about what we've done, don't ask me questions about the end of the small sensao, we'll keep it relevant to this class. Yeah, we'll have a little question and answer if anyone wants to ask questions. To finish off though, we're just going to do a little bit of very simple striking on the bag. So if you've got a bag, lovely, great, you can hit it. If you don't have a bag, you can still practice along. Learn the body mechanics. You can still learn how to move your body. It's still very good training. It's actually very advantageous to do that even if you do have a bag. Not all the time, of course, but every now and again. Because you train different muscles in your body. When you hit the bag all the time, when you connect to your bag, all that momentum traveling forward is stopped by the bag. So it's easier to pull your hands back in. When you miss the bag, you have to pull your arm back in all by yourself, you see. So you train all the muscles in your back a little more when you're doing shadow boxing. When you're punching from here, you've got to pull your hand back in rather than the hand bouncing off the thing it hits. So it trains all those muscles in the back to be nice and strong so that when you do miss your target, because you will, you won't fall off balance and things like that. Okay, so let's try the most simple stage one, drill one, stage one, just the first 2 strikes of the first drill that we have in Taiji for bag work. Left foot forward, hands just in a natural guard position, just underneath your chin sort of level here, okay? Legs bent a little, like so. I'm not side on like this, but nor am I completely front on. Boxers quite often tend to stand on, side on, not all the time, but it's quite a classical way of holding your boxing guard. Muay Thai, on the other hand, would classically hold this kind of thing, like really front on, because they're all about the kicks. Most styles, though, that when we're talking about everything, you've got to defend kicks, punches, takedowns, grapples, throws, everything. You want to be somewhere in your guard where you're sort of well-rounded, balanced for any type of attack. You're not favouring one over the other. Because remember, again, when we're talking about self-defense, you have no idea what that other guy's going to do. Okay, if he comes up to you like this going, maybe you might be able to tell he's a kicker. But generally speaking, in some kind of a street brawl, when somebody attacks you, you don't have the time or the ability to figure out, oh yeah, he does Muay Thai, so I'm going to fight him like this, or he's a boxer, so I'll fight him like that. You just got to fight, okay? It all happens very quickly. Okay, so left foot forward, like so. So I'm almost square to the bag. I don't know, there's 45 degrees, let's say just halfway. So there's me at the front, there's me facing the corner. My center is roughly halfway between the front and the corner as a ballpark for you. Okay, like so, I am just in range of the bag, so I don't need to step in at this point to be able to hit the bag. I'm not worrying about having to move our feet just yet. My weight is about 60% in my rear leg at this point, and as I throw the strike, boom, I just shift a little bit of weight up onto the front leg like so. Turning the center, of course, and extending the arm, boom, like so. Don't worry about using loads of power in the beginning. You're not trying to go really fast and use lots of power, do any of this kind of stuff right in the beginning. Okay? What we want to do in the beginning is focus on technique. Later on, we can add the power. Remember what I said in the form? Smoothness, precision is what will give you power and speed at the end of the day. You can't do that right from square one. You're going to end up hurting yourself, for starters. But also, you'll just use too much tension, you see. When I'm hitting the bag, I'm keeping the shoulders loose, keeping the body nice and loose. See, everything's nice and soft when I'm doing those strikes. I mean, relatively speaking, soft. I'm not soft. Obviously, I'm still going to hit the thing. But what I mean is I'm not going like something like this, you see? That's very tense and hard. That's not good technique, okay? So forget about hitting hard. Forget about hitting fast. Think about hitting correctly. Just go, boom, okay? With a pop. The best thing you can do in the beginning is get a pop. Just start your hand out, nothing too special there. We'll go into more details of this over the coming weeks. For now, just drive it forward, hit it with your palm, spread your fingers back so you don't hurt them on the mitt. Spread them back like that. As soon as you've done that, just do the same strike with the other hand. So just 2 strikes. 1, 2. Noticing I'm keeping this hand up when I'm doing the second strike. From there, boom, boom. Here. So about 60% back. A little bit of weight comes forward. I'm probably about 50-50 at that point. And then about 60% forward by the time I do the second strike. So it's one gradual weight shift, of course, it's not two separate movements. But I'm a little bit on the back leg and boom, boom, a little bit on the front leg when I finish that particular movement. Okay? But the key point that I want you to get for now, see what happens to the hands. See the difference? I left my hand on the bag. I do not ever want to leave, no, I shouldn't say ever, there's an exception to every rule. But generally speaking, bring your hand back, bring your hand back. You're much more protected. You can hit again from that position. You can't hit again if your hand's there. You've got to reload it first before you can hit him again, you see. But if you hit him and finish with your hand here, your hand's ready to do another strike if need be. You're also not giving him your arms to be able to, you know, put arm locks on you and throw you on the floor and that kind of stuff. So pop, 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 pop. Oh, by the way, with these classes, because I know a lot of people, there are people who are training this system who are looking for movement, health, that kind of stuff, but maybe they can't physically hit. Maybe they've got, you know, damaged hands, arthritis in their palms, things like that. So hitting bags like this is not going to be great for certain people. So you've got two options. You can either, as I said before, just play along and learn the movements, or I will always put the bag section of this class at the end, like I'm doing now. So if you, for example, just think, I really want to learn the small sansao, but yeah, I can't hit stuff because of my hands or something like that, you can always feel free to just do the small sansao part. Once I start doing the bag work, I'm not going to do any more small sansao. Okay, I might make reference to it, like, you know, I'm doing a strike and say, oh, that's just like in this form and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, once we start the bag work, I'm not going to teach anything new, so you don't have to worry about missing out on something for the small sansao part of the training. Okay, again, pop, pop. Okay, notice for the second strike, so the first strike is just an opening of the center, extending of the arm. The second strike, obviously you close that center back in, but notice how the rear foot is going to pivot on the ball of the foot this time, like so. So the foot will turn over like so. It'll allow that hip, you see, to drive over and connect that right arm to the power of that right leg. Let's try that again. Breathe out as you strike. Let's switch that to the other side. So put your right leg forward and go bonk, bonk. So you're going to get that pivot and twist on the other leg now, like so. Really focus on just bringing your weight only to that 60% mark, otherwise you might end up being too far forward, and really make sure that the front foot, obviously the rear foot's on the toe, but the front foot you must be planted in the heel. That doesn't mean your toes are off the ground, of course, your whole foot is on the ground, but if you feel like you're doing that second strike, and you can feel pressure going over the ball of the foot, you know your balance is going too far forward. So really think about nice and upright, turn the center when you're doing the movements. See, and stay nice and grounded, nice and balanced. See, not fast, not powerful, and keeping your hands up. Okay, we don't want this. See, I've dropped my hand before I bring it through. Keep your hands up, 1, 2. Keep your hands protecting your head. Palms versus fists, very simple rule. For the beginning anyway, palms to the face, punches to the body. I'll explain more about that in the next coming classes, but that's your general go-to to begin your training with, at least. There are advantages of using the fists to the head, but there are disadvantages as well. So we train everything, we train both. You can also do palm strikes to the body, but generally speaking, it's a pretty good idea to use punches to the body, palm strikes to the head. Let's just do a couple more of those. Again, precision and control. Pop, pop. Let your hand recoil. Pop. Okay. So like I said before, I'm going to gradually progress through. That's not the end of that class, of course, at the end of that session. The whole first session that we practice, boom, 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 that's drill number 1 that we do. So palm, palm, body punch, and follow up with palm. Nice and simple. We're going to work on those. We're going to continue working on these, going into more details of how to do them correctly, and particularly what I'm going to be showing you throughout the course of these lessons for both today and Wednesday is how to sort of self-correct. Even though I will be doing the once a month things where you send me a video and I then send you back some things like maybe I see you going like this and swinging your hand down, you haven't noticed it, so I can point that out to you that you're making that error. But the main point is, because it's an online class, you're not here with me. If I saw you here with me, I can see you moving. I can tell you you're making an error right away. So when I teach online, I teach slightly differently than when I teach in person. When I teach in person, just show something, do it. Watch people do it. If they make a mistake, I'll correct that mistake. But if they don't make a mistake, great, they're doing it well. There's no need to talk about it anymore. Of course, with an online class, I need to give you these things like be careful not to do this, be careful not to do that, because chances are you will be making those mistakes. And 90% of the time, everyone makes the same mistakes, which makes it really easy as a teacher to be able to say, okay, the most common thing you're going to do here is you're going to do that. And as you do that first strike, you're going to drop that hand. It's very common. You go, boom, boom. Especially when you're thinking about power. When you're thinking, just do it like that, boom, you might do it okay. As soon as you start thinking, okay, I want to hit it harder, I want to hit it harder. Boom. All right, that's not too bad. Boom. See, what? All of a sudden I've telegraphed that hand a mile back. So you've got to be very careful not to be doing things like that. So this is the type of thing we'll be using as we progress through these online classes. Now, we have now, after this class is finished, we'll have a quick little question answer session now, but we have now to finish off, or not to finish off, it's a separate class technically, but it's just going to continue through, our January Qigong Challenge, okay? That means our standing Qigong. Now, please note, this Qigong Challenge is not a class. I'm not going to teach you how to do this. It is only for people who are already practicing it. On Wednesday night, we'll be doing the Taiji form and we will be beginning our standing Qigong practice. So those of you who are already somehow familiar with this, you can feel free to join us for this Qigong Challenge. It's every morning and every night for the whole month of January. If you've never done it before, you're probably going to be standing there like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I'm not going to teach it to you in these sessions. It's just a practice session where I'm just going to stand there and do my Qigong with you. Sometimes I give a few little tips here and there, of course. But yeah, I'm certainly not teaching it from scratch. So if you don't know it, you can do what you want. Obviously, you can follow along as best you can. But after the Wednesday class, you'll at least have a basic understanding of how to put the feet and the hips in the stance. So after that, you might want to then try that Qigong Challenge. Anyway, how'd you find that? Any questions from anyone who's here live?
Are you live?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
When you're doing the back work, you do part of the footwork on the ball of the foot rather than the heels.
Yes.
And how it's matches with the footwork for the form when you stay always on the heels.
The footwork in the form. Oh, no. So that's again just the. I'll just give a quick little explanation to that while I'm here. So let's say, for example, I'm doing a movement like this, okay, in comparison to, say, a brush knee twist step, which might look something like that, you see, keeping the heel down. The main reason for keeping the heel down and pressing through there is it's a form, it's a qigong. We're stretching through the hips, okay? The foot is also in a much more open position. Everything about the form in the stances are designed to open the hips, to open the joints, to stretch and open and activate meridians in the body. So both physical and internal reasons there. So the foot being out at 45 degrees, again, that hip is maxed out. Having the foot there, you see, that allows that hip to really turn into the movement much more. And same goes for pushing that heel down into the ground. You're getting stretch happening. You don't want stretch when you're hitting something. If I push that heel down into the ground like that, I'm creating a stretch, therefore creating tension, therefore holding my power back. Whereas when I want to hit something, I want to let all of that force go. So you'll notice when we do movements such as, I don't know, step up, parry and punch, which is a similar kind of move, like a hand off the back foot type of a punch, you'll notice that that foot is here upon contact, and then it goes back. There's never an explosive movement done in a bow stance like that. There are certain exceptions to that rule, of course, if my feet were down, but I was very, very sort of tight and in close. They're not, there's no need to do that because I'm too close, you see. So because I'm so close to the bag, you see, that's just pushing and dropping again. But even then, there's still a little bit of a push off the ball of the foot. So that's really a difference between combat application compared to body stretch application.
Do I have time for follow-up question?
Depends what it is. Go for it.
So what is the reason then for small Sansao training with the heels turn on the heels and pushing from the heels if we don't really use it for the combat applications?
No, we do use swiveling on the heels for the combat applications. It just all depends on what positioning your body's in. So if my foot is at the rear, then holding that heel down, it pulls me back, you see? It's holding it. That releases it. It releases the hip. Whereas if, for example, I'm going over to here, that's not holding me back in any way. That's pulling me back into that position. Whereas, of course, if I were to swivel on the toes there, I feel like I've got to kind of lift myself up a lot more and I've got to move around myself. It's just not a very balanced movement. It all depends on where your balance is. For example, if I'm going there, see, that was a nice little foot pivot on the ball of the foot for that particular movement. But if I'm coming here and just going to there with my weight staying back weighted, it's more like the small sansao. So you will use elements of that small sansao, just probably not exactly as it's done in the form.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where am I? There we go. All right, so that's our first small sansao lesson. Bye-bye, Pauline. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks, Eli. Got to run.
Yep, no worries.
Good to see you. Lots of love.
Yeah, you too.
Catch up soon.
Okay, so I'm going to do some standing qigong now, as I said. So if you've done some standing qigong before, feel free to join in. If not, we will see you in the next class. But everyone's still here, so it looks like they want the challenge. All right, let's get back onto this camera. Put myself big again. Just going to take a little bit of the spotlight off me. I don't have so much bright light in my face. Okay, so let's cool ourselves down now. Relax the body down. Bending the knees. Trying to get your mic off your t-shirt. Why are you stuck? Get off. Sorry, I just need to take my jumper off. I'm getting a bit... Oh, come on! It's got a thread. Stop. Stupid bloody thing. Oh, de-threaded my jumper now. Okay. Yeah, let's... There we go. Right, let's chill it down. Sink down. Try and slow your breathing down. Got a lot of yang built up from all the training we've just done. So let's get it relaxing down so that we're ready for bed later. Just take the hands down to the lower position. slowly begin to close off. Oh, another nice session. Second session of the year. Did that one feel better, Anna? Now that it's the evening time?
Strangely, yes.
That's quite normal.
Better.
Whenever I've, either when I was younger, when I was, before I'd be training long, or even nowadays, if I haven't, if I've been doing a lot of other stuff and haven't done my Qigong for a while and I get back into it, morning time always feels more physically difficult because you did it this morning, so your body's a bit more used to it.
Yeah.
And your body's just more warmed up, It's
Yeah,
like,
also, yeah, that too. We
Yeah.
just did the session and I joined the Sansao and bag work. So
Yeah.
so that's obviously a good start of
Yeah.
standing Qigong.
yeah,
Oh, I really need to make sure I do make some warming up before standing still because
yeah, definitely.
uh,
It's highly advised to move before you say so. All right, well,
yeah. Thank you.
thank you for joining me this evening. I'll see you when I see you next. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night, Andy. Cool. Andy's one of my new local students. I have local students again. Haven't had local
Andy is
students for
so
about 10
jealous.
years.
So jealous. What time is Qigong tomorrow? Do you remember? I need to
7 o'clock. Because my bar class is on 6 till 7, so it'll be straight after that, 7 o'clock.
Super. 7.
Yeah.
Thank you.
7 a.m.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening, everyone. And I'll see you when I see you next.
Good night,
See you later.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.